today's video, I've been wanting to do something a little more casual, and that is showing off my Knights of the Old Republic 3 3/4 inch action figure collection. This is a video I've been wanting to film for quite a while now, a couple years at least. Easily some of my favorite action figures in my collection. I have most of these reviewed on the channel at this point. I think the only ones I really don't are Jareel here. It's from the comic books for Knights of the Old Republic. I do plan on reviewing her next after this video, actually. Then Mandalore back here. I forget which Mandalore he is. Mandalore the Indomitable, I think. Anyway, I think he's the one that Revan faces off with in the Brotherhood of Shadows mod for the first game. At least I'm pretty sure it is. Especially with the weapons he has and then the overall look to him. So I'm not including Old Republic characters like Shae Vizsla, Republic Trooper, and Darth Malgus. That's a different era. And I'm also not including Darth Bane and Darth Zana because, again, different era. This is just solely Knights of the Old Republic. And at some point I'll do Black Series with its own video. I'm still waiting on the Black Series Malik. I just found out recently from Entertainment Earth, both him and Bastila that I've had on pre-order just got put on back order. So I'm probably going to end up getting Malik on eBay here really soon. It's a good thing I got jumped on Bastila when I did. I just had that feeling that she would end up not coming through on Entertainment Earth, or it would be put off indefinitely. It doesn't seem like Bastila and Malik are in huge supply. Of course, I'm sure there's a high demand for them, but Hasbro's not really doing a great job keeping up with the demand. And hopefully the production on them isn't running out here soon. So if you haven't gotten Bastila or Malik yet for Black Series, I would suggest you jump on that really soon. Even if you have to pay a little bit more for it. Better to spend $30 now than like $100 later on, I guess. So anyway, we'll just go through a little bit of each of these action figures if you haven't seen any of the reviews as of yet. Some of them I did a couple years ago at this point. And some of them I have showed off quite a bit, like Bastila here. I think at this point, based upon the Black Series Bastila we recently got, I think a lot of people would want a newly tooled and updated Bastila. Personally, I think that would be a great thing. I like this Bastila for what it is. It's a pretty good action figure. I could tell it's Bastila. The likeness, I think, is okay. I know some people don't like the likeness, and 3 3/4 inch Black Series action figure is a little bit different than this. I know they made the eyes a little bit closer, and she has a little bit of a different color scheme going on with her outfit. Where it's dark brown here, I know it is light brown. I used to own that figure, and then I ended up selling it. I kind of wish I didn't, because now I would really like to have it. So I'll probably end up repurchasing it again at some point. Here we have, of course, most of these are custom action figures. This one's Revan, obviously, or is supposed to be Revan. This is the Revan I typically use within the game. It's the one that I think people usually pick for their portrait, the more longer-haired one. And I asked for a green lightsaber when I had it made, because usually I play as a Jedi Consular. Personally, I think the best combination in the first game is a soldier and a consular, because being a soldier, you can get all your combat feats early on, and it's going to carry you through the entire game, and then by the time you become a consular, you can just focus on force powers after that with an occasional feat. And force powers between both games are essential, very important, in my opinion, and being a consular allows you to kind of catch up a little bit, because some of those levels you get 2 force powers instead of 1, and it makes you for a very powerful Revan by the end of the game. You've mastered combat, and you're heavily in tune with the Force, and then if you can have like a 20 strength and a 20 wisdom, you're doing really good. So it's a pretty good Revan. I think the base of this was Loki from Marvel, if I recall correctly. Some of you might be looking at it and think, oh, that's Loki. But I think it's a pretty good representation of Revan. Every time I look at him, I think, yep, that's Revan. And the particular outfit he's wearing is the standard Jedi robes that you end up getting on Dantooine, which I think looks pretty close to that. Next we have Vandar here. I did review him a couple years ago now. And of course, very basic, custom. Not really a whole lot to say about it. It's just a repaint of the Cave of Evil Yoda, which is a great retooling and repaint. And of course, he has the photoreal face, which is pretty good. At some point, I would like to get the entire Jedi Council. Was it Vandar? Or yeah, this is Vandar. Then Jar, Vrook, and Dorak. I would like to get all three of them at some point. And the entire Jedi Council from KOTOR 2 as well. It'd be nice to get. So then here we have Mitra Sirik. Probably one of my favorite. If I had to pick one or two action figures in my collection to keep, if I could only do that, this would probably be one of the ones I would keep. Mitra here is one of the first customs I ever got, and a lot of care went into making her. She was a little bit broken when I got her. The ponytail in the back here in particular was snapped off, and I've had to do a few repairs to her every now and then, but she's holding up really good. I just have to be delicate. But this is one of my favorite action figures. It's using the Zamozel base for both the head and the body, and she has that particular armor that you can get in the second game, where it's armor, but you can still use force powers with it. I forget the technical name of it right now. I know it's you have two different sets. You have a green one and then the blue one here. So it's a nice reuse, and the belt's slightly retooled right there. And the lightsabers have magnets at the end of them. So in case I wanted her with a double blade, which I play the second Knights of the Republic a lot more than I do the first one, and I usually go back and forth. Sometimes I'll do dual wield, sometimes I'll do a double blade, and there's sometimes I do a single hilt playthrough. So I can utilize that, all three of those for this action figure. And I would say Mitra Sirik is one of my favorite characters in all Star Wars in general. So it's nice to have a figure of her. Will Hasbro ever get around to making it? I hope so. I highly doubt it though. I think at the time of this video we're doing a top 10. I know, or there's like a top 10 TVC poll where you can pick 10 action figures you want. And I did include Mitra in that list, and I plan on doing its own video at some point, showing off the 10 that I personally want and talking a little bit about each of them. But I don't think I included Mitra in that list. I have to admit, I just kind of whipped it up in 5 minutes, and it was the first 10 I could think of. But I would not mind Mitra getting a TVC release or a Black Series release as well. But somehow I get the feeling that Hasbro might do a good job with it, but I think I'll end up going back to this, because I highly doubt they're going to be making her in her armor. They're probably just going to do a standard Jedi robe if they ever get around to her. Well, maybe someone from Hasbro is watching this video and they can take some notes, so we'll see. Next we have Atris here. Oh, one more thing I'll mention about Mitra. She is one of the very first action figures I reviewed on the channel, if not the first. It's been 4 years now at this point, which is hard to believe. So if you haven't gone back that far in my archive of videos, I would suggest checking out her review. And then Atris, another iconic character from the second Knights of the Republic game. A lot of these female action figures are utilizing the Luminara sculpt, or the tooling, between her and Lana Vash there, and Visas back there. So it's a good reuse. It's not the best likeness to Atris on the planet. I think she's a little too dark-skinned, which I don't think there's any way that really could have been helped, because she might be reutilizing the Luminara head And if she has green skin, it's kind of hard to give her a lighter skin. So in order to complement with the paint, you probably had to go with a darker skin tone. It's the same thing with the Visas here. Much darker skin tone than what she really should be. And of course, Darth Treya here utilizes that body as well. But overall, Aegis turned out really nice, I think. I like how the robe was made here. It was all handmade. It even has the designs in it. At some point, I do want to get Zez-Kael and, of course, Rook again. Who else is there? Kavar. And I think that's pretty much it, yeah. Lana Vash here, she might be probably the more disappointing custom I've gotten. I was expecting a lot more than I did get, and she is utilizing a Rey head, which I just can't get over that. Every time I look at this, I think of Rey. Maybe like a Jedi Master Rey, but it is supposed to be Lana Vash. I figured she would be an easy custom make because she just has a standard Jedi robe, and then for her head, it's not too complicated. I figured she'd be one of the more basic Jedi Masters that could be made. In this case, it didn't turn out the best, and it utilizes a Obi-Wan little robe there, belt, which doesn't really look right with this at all because it has the female shaped body and then with a male belt basically, and it's pretty clear that there's that huge difference there. So I usually keep the hood on her to kind of hide the fact that, oh, it looks like Rey. Maybe at some point I'll get that redone. The guy who made that is the same one who made Atris here. But you can't win them all, I guess. And we have Visas, who turned out really nicely. The way her headscarf here turned out is perfect. The shape of it, the proportions, everything. It's a perfect action figure all around. I just wish he had a slightly lighter skin tone there to be a little bit more accurate to the game. And I have seen some samples on eBay, Visas with a lighter skin tone, and I have thought about getting some, or getting one or two more at some point. Visas is probably one of the more common customs you'll find on eBay, and she's usually a decent price. Maybe $50, which, yes, $50 for a 3 3/4 inch action figure, but for a custom, that's a pretty good price. I've seen some customs go way up in the hundreds, even like $500 or $600, which is outrageous. Marka Ragnos and Ludo Kresh and Tulak Horde and Naga Shadow. Lots of customs of those guys, and they go way up in the hundreds. So $50 for Visas, not too bad, and especially for a iconic character. Who else we got here? Of course, Darth Treya, or Kreia. She's usually known throughout the game. The hood could have been a little bit better, I think, but if you position it just right, you can get it looking accurate to how Treya usually has her hood. Even with it off, I would say that's a really good head sculpt. She doesn't have the pupils, which is accurate. She has the ponytail braids. She has some really nice detailing in that. I'm very impressed. It almost looks like a shoestring that he used. The guy who made this one also made the Atris and Lana Vash. You can tell he's an old pro at Kreia here. Looks really nice. Then some of Hasbro's offerings. Of course, we got Malik and Nihilus here. I do wonder if at some point soon we'll get a new Malik in TVC. If Malik got a Black Series release and Revan just got the TVC figure, I don't see why they wouldn't jump on making a new Malik soon. Unfortunately, if you haven't heard the news yet, the Knights of the Old Republic remake was reported to be dead recently. I have heard conflicting reports about that oh, that's just fake news, or that's just some journalist making that up and spewing propaganda. We haven't really seen a lot being done with the remake, and I know a couple months ago the trailers were allegedly taken down from YouTube, or they were set to private or whatever. So anyways, the point being is it seems like the remake is kind of in limbo right now, and it might not happen at all. And I think, generally speaking, more people are leaning towards it not happening. I have mixed views about the subject. Part of me says good, because it doesn't sound like it was going in a good direction, and it was going to be very distant from what the true nature of the game was back in 2003 when it was originally released. And then part of me kind of thinks it would have been nice to maybe get a new revitalized Knights of the Old Republic if it was done by the right team. I know they say they wanted it done for modern audiences, which code word for so many things, and I won't get into all that here. But usually that means a bad thing, I'll say that, in most cases. Hopefully at some point we get something, though. Something good, at least. Personally, I think instead of a remake of the first and second game, it would have been nice just to get all new games. Maybe set it during the Mandalorian Wars, or maybe after Knights of the Republic 2. Finish the third game as how it was originally meant to be. But it doesn't seem like that's going to ever happen. And even if the third game ever does get made, I don't think it'll be done the same way as what it was back in... I think it was supposed to be released in 2007. Of course, Revan here. I already showed him off. I do have Revan, the new TVC Revan, coming in the mail here soon. I should have him before the end of the month here, and I'll be sure to do a review of him really soon. I know a lot of people don't like this Revan, and I've seen some videos on the internet of people taking this Revan and chucking it across the room, saying, oh, that's a terrible Revan, and then they replace it with the new Revan, things like that. But I always like this Revan. The review I did of him, I did detail in the story behind this one. He's probably one of the more interesting acquisitions I've made through the years, and I've had him for about 16 years now. So there's a lot of history with this Revan in my collection, and I like it for what it is. I think it's a good representation of Revan. If for whatever reason you can't get a hold of the TVC release, but you have this one, I think it's perfectly fine. Yes, the new one's going to be much more articulated and overall looks a little bit more accurate than Revan, but this one's pretty nice as well. I really don't have any serious complaints about this. So we got Mandalore here from the Fett Legacy pack. I have not got a chance to review him yet, but I probably will here soon. He's a pretty interesting action figure. He has the shield here, and then he has this, almost looks like an axe. It's not quite, though. Overall, an interesting design. And I'll touch on more with him soon in his own video. Then we got our two favorite droids, as always, T3, which is 3D printed. It's not exactly an action figure. He does have an articulated head, but the rest of it's just one piece, basically. It's pretty good. I really like this. And you can get these really cheap on eBay, like $10. Of course, HK47, who is getting re-released here soon in TBC. I have not decided if I'm going to get that pack yet. It's just a repaint of the Starforge robes, Revan. And then it's just a straight repack of HK here. No difference other than maybe the paint. But we'll see. Maybe if I see it for a decent price, I'll get it. And I'll touch on him more in his own video at some point as well. Same with the HK50 droids here. These were Build-A-Droid action figures back in the Legacy Collection days. Last one here is Jareel. And she came from a comic pack. One of the last ones, I think. I do not have her other counterpart in the pack, Roland. It was a Mandalorian. Roland or Roland. It's one of the two. But she's a nice action figure. Really like the sculpting work she has. I've never read the particular comic she's in. She is a nice looking character. Interesting tattoos on her. But yeah, that's pretty much my collection so far. So last things I'll talk about, I'm not sure if I've really mentioned this before, but this kind of ties into why I'm doing this video, but this month is 20 years since the first game was released on computer. The Xbox game was released first in July of 03, and computer was in November. And when I first started playing this game, it was on the computer. And I ended up getting it in 2005, actually. I recall seeing it in stores like 2003, 2004, and think, hey, that looks like a neat game. Perhaps I'll get that at some point. And I finally did. I ended up asking it for Christmas in 2005, and I got it. And since then, I've been hooked. And I still play that game to this day. I still have my original discs as well. I do play the Steam version these days. Still, there are some differences between the Steam version and the disc version that warrant having both versions. And sometimes I do install mods on a lot of them. So if I want to experiment with some mods on one and not the other, or some of them that conflict with one another, I have that flexibility on the table. And so going forward, what do I want to see made for Knights of the Republic? Now that the remake is kind of in limbo, I don't know if Hasbro is going to be investing a whole lot more energy into it. I'm glad we've gotten a little bit more attention all this time later. I'm sure it's solely because of the remake why we got the TVC Revan, and then Black Series Malik and Bastila, and the re-release of HK and the Jedi Revan. If it wasn't for the news of that remake, they might not have been made at all. But going forward, I would like to see the Ebon Hawk released as a HasLab. I think that'd be a great idea, and it'd be a huge success. I have had people tell me, oh, that won't be a huge success. Most people don't know what the Ebon Hawk is. But even if they don't know what the ship is, chances are if it was announced, they're going to go learn exactly what it was. And it's a ship that, even if you don't really know what it is, it's neat for what it is. And a lot of people are going to be like, you know what, I don't know anything about the Ebon Hawk here, but I'm going to get it anyway because it's a nice ship. It looks like something from Star Wars, and I'm sure I can use it for something. So I think on that basis alone, it would be a huge success. Now, I think good tiers to go along with it would be to get all the party members from both games. I think those would be huge sellers for people. At some point, I would like to complete the entire party from both games. The ones I'm been thinking about the last couple of years mostly has been Karth and At and Rand. I think those might be some of the next ones I end up getting made. It's going to be a long project. It's going to be years in the making. Customs are very expensive. It's time consuming, and maybe I'll make my own at some point. I have thought about getting into making customs. So we'll see. But that's my dream HasLab, is the Ebon Hawk. So far, I have not gotten any of the HasLabs. I ended up not getting the Ghost. I was kind of on the fence with it, but as time goes on, I'm kind of glad I didn't get it. So the Ghost, the Razor Crest. I honestly am not a big enough Mandalorian fan to really justify getting that. And the Sail Barge, while it was very nice, and I'm glad it was made, it wasn't exactly a centerpiece I wanted for my collection. But the Ebon Hawk would be, and that's a HasLab that would definitely draw me in. So going forward, who knows if Hasbro will get around to making any more KOTOR characters. I hope they do, but we'll see. Chances are most of them will be repaints if we get any more. And I doubt the team at Hasbro really takes the time to invest much more energy into looking into some of these characters like Lana Vash or Atris or Visas. They're just going to stick with the basic ones like Revan, Malak, HK, Bastila, because they've already been in circulation before, and it's easy enough just to go back in and look at those. But anyways, I think that's all I'll say in this video, and I'll go ahead and conclude it. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at this. At some point, I'll do another update video if I end up getting any more, and maybe I'll do one for the Black Series, and then I'll do the individual video for Darth Bane, or maybe the Old Republic characters. We'll see. It just gives me a chance to, instead of doing a standard review and being all technical, it gives me a chance to go a little more off script. I don't script any of my videos anyway, but I try to follow somewhat of an outline when I do standard reviews. This one just allows me to ramble on about whatever. So if you made it almost 28 minutes in at this point and you've watched the whole video, I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you found some value in it, and you may have learned some things along the way. But anyways, I'll conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be lots more to come. I try my best to get as many videos out every month as possible. Like my channel, I don't plan on going anywhere. I plan on making videos until I can no longer make any videos, which hopefully is many years down the road. So stay tuned for plenty more in the future. And if you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate your support. And check out some of the links in the description as well if you have not done so already. As always, thanks for watching.